And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
Remember how I've kept saying Sakaki's the villain? Well, this is where it becomes made plainly clear how little I've exaggerated with that. First off, Online Jack. Michiru Tajima gets a text from one of her students, who is being forced to play The World from the school computers. The pair make their way to the building, and... well, it's the Children of the Corn. Part 6 shows the aftermaths, Salvador hospitalized from these events, the kids all controlled by one of their classmates. Remember when I said Sakaki was a kid? Well, you're looking at him. Yep, that's him. Toru Uike. He used the AIDA influence to attack Salvador before taking his companions and disappearing. With Atoli, Sakaki's taken her deep into Moontree's at-home, and proceeds to betray her completely and utterly, bringing up every insecurity, moment of self-doubt, every worry she confided in him, and how she blames herself for current events.
Whose fault was it that the AIDA server was created? Whose fault was it that Bordeaux drowned in power? That's right, it's not just Bordeaux, is it? What about Alcade?
And using his silver tongue, he twists the argument, pinning everything solely, irrevocably, on her.
Now whose fault was it?
Please, stop!
Ah, I remember now. It was you. It was all your fault, Atoli.
Why is he doing this? Power. He wants her epitaph. But, as he can't take it from her, he'll just destroy everything that's there. Turn her into nothing but an empty shell devoted to him that he can control. Why she's so fragile, we'll discuss in a bit. But it shows the true depths of how despicable a person Sakaki is. The player killers can only torment you in the game. You can leave at any time. You can fight them off. You can gather in groups and guilds to ward them off. But you can never fight the demons within your own heart. And Sakaki throws everyone he knows, everyone he's manipulated into existence, back in her face.
No matter how much the world may hate you and loathe you, I will always be the only one to need you. And if you ever leave me, you will be plunged into the darkness of eternal solitude. You don't want to be alone, do you? Close your eyes, Atoli, and relax.
Haseo?
This all happens before the ceremony, for as it wraps up, Kaede appears and informs everyone that Sakaki's faction of Moontree has finally struck and started the inevitable civil war, Atoli taken by AIDA, and Peking Zelkova herself. I really don't have anything on Kaede. Of the named and voiced characters, we barely ever see her throughout the games, but conversation and correspondence with her in Volume 3 tells us something. Not a lot, but it's there to build a character. She got married young, and 4 years before the game's events, she lost her son in a car accident she blames herself over. She's protective of Zelkova, as he reminds her of what her son was like when he was alive. Kaede's legitimately underdeveloped, but even with her, you get something out of it. Yada reports in, detecting the AIDA surge and confirming Kaede's story. Sadly, the AIDAs learned to mimic the isolation of an AIDA server, locking out access to the at-home, meaning we need to find another way in. That's wasting time for everyone involved. Upon prompting, Haseo hands over the Ovan-01 item from the first act to see if they can use it to gate-hack the server, Yada grinning at the purported victory at gaining something physical, in relative sense, to analyze, leaving us nothing to do but wait. Eventually, Yada contacts us and reveals we need more data seeds, leading to more AIDA battles, the hunt for them just eating more time. And Yada's superiors have noticed. They can't let this go on as it is. The AIDA incidents are becoming too public, and Yada's insistence on knowledge and understanding is not leading, in their minds, to results. The sign to hack isn't the Sifberg lost ground, so I grab Kuhn and Endurance to just barrel past anything in the way. And, sadly, there is. For pretty much everyone in Moontree has been driven insane. The emotional degradation effect seen from Sirius and Bordeaux's infections are showing here, amplified and twisted through Atoli's phase, so they've all become Sakaki's puppets, battling for his amusement. Dance, puppets! Dance! Nala's one of the few normal ones, mainly because Yada's controlling the PC remotely, leading them through the facility. Various districts are locked out through the spreading taint, requiring the various Moontree members be KO'd. Another sane man is Matsu, who's standing in their way, simply so he can have the long-awaited rematch with Haseo.
Look, I really am sorry. You see, I'm quite a moron.
Yeah, he is, but it's always good to know you're an idiot, as then you can compensate. He is no match, collapsing, but satisfied. The question left, whether he's joined the Lost Ones. Hiragi's next, and, as Endrance notes,
so, it appears he is drowned in his own emotions.
It's actually another interesting comparison, as Hiragi is analogous to himself in many respects. As a consequence, the Temptress can share some of his own garnered wisdom on his obsession.
To love someone, it is not to shut one's eyes to the other, nor to block one's ears from the truth. To love one another is to walk through life together. Open your eyes, open your ears, look at each other, and together seek the best path for the both of you.
Have I mentioned how much I freaking love this game? Lastly is the missing division head, Sephora, and, similar to 10, they have a Black Ops division, the team ambushing the lot, but are likewise easily felled. And finally, we reach Moontree's throne room, where Atoli's phase has gone rampant and manifested parts of her subconscious in an effort to hold it together. The results are not pretty. If you've not guessed by now, Atoli's phase is Innis, the Mirage of deceit, able to create illusions from thought, based upon the collection of data concerning the lies people tell themselves and others, how they hide themselves away from reality to find a moment of comfort, to be able to learn and cope with it by being able to not be assailed by our own doubts, fears, and insecurities 24/7. So, what had to be the breaking point? How deep does the pain she hide have to go? The hallway is full of insults, hateful comments, and constant paradings she hears every day. The endless mockery by her peers, unwilling to accept any aspect of her. And everything about her, about everything she's ever done, that ties back to why she tries so hard to win the approval of anyone she meets, is defined by...
I did my best. I tried to do what everyone said, but none of it worked. I mean, it's so unfair. I've only got one of myself. And they're always trying to push me in opposite directions. But I still tried. I did my best to do what they said. Because if I didn't, they'd all leave me. They told me they didn't need someone like me. But no matter how hard I tried, it was no good.
I tried, and no one would praise me. No one would accept me. No one would look at me.
I guess I should start this with a question. A single question, because it's a tying element to everything here. How did Sakaki and Atoli meet? He found her, invited her to the game, when she posted to a suicide website. Chikusa Kusaka was intending to kill herself. Her life is not something I would wish on anyone. Her parents demean, degrade, and despise her, treating her as little more than an indiscretion they have to live with, only caring about how her acts and appearance relate to solely themselves and nothing else. Her classmates belittle her, nothing but scorn and contempt coming from them. It ultimately reached the point that she just plain hates herself, when all she wants is to be accepted, to have her existence validated and mean something, for someone to look and see her. And isn't that ultimately what we all want? But she's so broken, insecure of her actions, unable to feel validation from them, always afraid those around her will abandon her the first chance they have, and putting up a facade of the nice, cheerful girl, just so the most frail part of herself, the part ironically most easily attacked by how she hides, won't be so ridiculed. But she doesn't have it in her to hide behind cruelty, pride, or indifference. She's simply too kind. So she conceals it behind a smile she so desperately wants to be real. The fact she even has her own interests and hobbies can be seen as nothing short of a miracle. But those aren't enough. They only distract from the demons within yourself. It's ultimately why she felt she needed to blame herself for everything that's happened in this volume. Why she could so easily assume Haseo saw her as a simple replacement for Shino and nothing more. She's so used to believing herself the origin of everything that is wrong with her life, that it makes perfect sense to her that her decisions and actions should be the sole cause. And Atoli is someone who turns that pain inwards. And this is not coming out of nowhere either. Her characterization is consistently foreshadowing this throughout the games. R2 became her lifeline. Why is she such a fervent convert to Moontree's propaganda? Because she wants that one single place where she can truly find comfort. Why she indulges so deeply in the world's lore, anthropomorphs so much of its features by viewing them as real, legitimate life of their own, took the time to view its majesty and construct a list of its best sites that most other players could care less about. She puts so much into it because she would rather be here. She tries to forge bonds so strongly so she won't ever feel alone, but because of that overreacts to the slightest bump and tries even harder, constantly seeking validation because in the real world there's no one who would give a second glance at her. And she so worships Sakaki because she viewed what he brought her to was her refuge, somewhere that would allow her to be herself, and she believed his words, that he would build that place where she would be free, if only for short times, from the reality that is crushing her, allowing her to bear through it, all with hope of that utopia. But in reality, nothing was changing. This place wasn't allowing her to heal. He was making sure of that. Sakaki's refuge was nothing but a cage, restricting her even more than the life that had broken her wings. Preventing her suicide attempt is the single redeemable act you could see from the bastard. And yet, the entire time, it was all an ego trip for him. Sakaki never valued her, not once, as anything more than a toy, a doll. It's obvious he thinks that of everyone around him, but it's different for her because the one person she thought she could always turn to thought as little of her as her family, as her classmates, as every single person in her life. And because of who she is, when given the choice after he belittled her, In a moment of weakness, she was tricked into taking that vile hand that led her to this. Deceived by who she thought he was, never once suspecting how cruel he actually is, that I have done as much as I could to call out incessantly to justify that this is not her fault. This is her being a lonely girl who lost her self-esteem and had her trust and faith long misplaced. Thus, the only ones capable of interceding on this are her friends. Her real friends. Those that have challenged her to break free of her preconceptions and insecurities, and actually do care about her. AIDA's corruption has a degradative effect, relishing in bringing forth and unbinding every dark thought in its host and twisting it. So she can't stop focusing on the negativity of her life. She can't hold it back. That wound Sakaki ripped open, AIDA has flowed into, and is tearing it wider and wider in order to understand it. And coupled with a berserk avatar, her life is legitimately on the line. Atoli's story is supposed to be symbolism and allegory for a bigger cultural and societal issue. What Chigusa Kusaka goes through in her life is not uncommon. People go through this kind of thing to varying degrees all over. Those that feel their life is worthless, has no impact on anything, on anyone's lives, feel they would be better off dead, and no one would miss them. Complete honesty, I have felt like that at times. It's probably why I connect so heavily with her. And I know people that have ended up feeling the same, and several of them have taken their own lives. So this entire thing, it's serving a greater point. Despite everything she's gone through, she's never stopped trying, never stopped reaching out for others, never stopped being the kind, generous, and considerate person she wants to be, never once shut down and shut them all out, and has had the strength to keep putting on that smile day after day after day, as long as even one person believed in her. It's trying to tell people that in the end, if you hang on, keep going, keep moving forward, you can find things that bring you true joy, friends that will be there for you, support you no matter what. You'll have to put up with them, yeah, but that's the human experience in a nutshell, seeking understanding from others so you won't be alone. The sad thing about this is, you can't tell this kind of story anymore and have people take it seriously. I would. I have. Not everyone does. Most would just end up mocking it or using it for their own agendas. Anytime anyone brings up Evangelion anymore, it inevitably devolves to Shinji should suck it up. One of the prime, recurring critiques of multiple Gundam series is how morose and depressed their protagonists get, especially during Seed and Seed Destiny, when that is part of the series' greater anti-war through showing the effects of war message. Gurren Lagann literally makes viewers think you can punch people out of a spiral of despair and make their insecurities and lamentations go away instantly, when that's not how that works. And yet, I like all three of those series. Hell, you want to take this a step further? There's an anime out there called Watamote, which I absolutely despise, as its entire run is supposedly framing such a life as a comedy. There is nothing funny about going through this! And I don't even need to go far to find some asshole on the internet that has mocked and belittled a real person's suicide. Why do you think I've been so regretful lately of discussing that plot device? I guess that informs a lot about me, doesn't it? My judgments on various media ultimately fall down to how much I can connect and empathize with the people within the series. And I don't care that it's just a game. These characters are representative of the issues real people go through. Loss, regret, obsession, vengeance, longing, insecurity, and depression that makes them lose connection with the truth and distort their own realities, and how interactions with other people, just as damaged and different as them, can help them heal, make them better people, that even one outstretched hand can save someone from their own demons. Atoli's actions make perfect sense for who she is. Atoli's problems are defined by the life she has lived. This situation is a culmination of everything that has happened over the course of the trilogy to this point. Her doing, Sakaki's doing, Haseu's doing, and AIDA's doing. And changing it would make it lose its meaning. In every interpretation of the GU series, Atoli is infected by AIDA. Every single time. Exposing all of this to someone who can comprehend it, in hopes of showing acceptance, understanding, and healing can come from it. That you don't need to hide this inside and think it will just go away. Because it won't. So, how do you help someone when what is ultimately killing them is their own self-loathing? How do you fix something like this? Ultimately, you don't. What the AIDA dredges up isn't something that just goes away. Sirius's pride, Pai's bitterness, Andrus's longing, Saku's fear, Bordeaux's obsession, they're still there. The battle with Ines isn't about solving her problems, it's removing the external influence on her through the AIDA and Sakaki, which will kill her from the feedback if nothing is done. Getting her out of danger takes priority. Incidentally, this is yet another one of the best scenes in the game, as you get to see a greater side of what two active, battling avatars can truly look like when not limited to third-person limited. It's why when I revised the openings for the .hack reviews, I included it. And all the while, Sakaki is encouraging her to kill and devour Scathe. Take from Haseo everything he is, so she can just give it to him, and his mad aspirations to conquer the world through the use of AIDA. All the while, she laments how insignificant she feels. After Haseo data drains Ines, devouring another phase and deleting the AIDA infection, Atoli's self-destructive spiral is still there, unable to accept the comfort that she wasn't in control of her actions, continuing to wallow farther and farther as, stripped of the mask she hides behind, that's all she knows. But while it's not something that goes away, admittedly, sometimes a good jolt can derail the cycle enough for something new to slip in. And thus, how Haseo can snap her out of it.
Is that what you really think? Do you really think that all this is your fault?
Well, it is, isn't it? Bordeaux and Alcade and Lords Alcova and Moontree. It's my fault that they...
Okay, then how do you intend to take responsibility for what you've done to them?
But that's it. That's the question. What she does, how she fixes it, how she deals with her problems, of her own make or no, incorrect belief or shoved on her by others, is all up to her. Just placing the blame, keeping it in, does nothing. What Haseo does is show her that there will be those that can and will support her no matter what she decides to do, that she is not alone. She's found the people that will accept her and won't abuse her trust. He doesn't make things automatically better for her. He can't solve them for her. She has to be the one that ultimately does it for herself. Find the way that she will matter defined only by herself, and reclaim the self-esteem that has been stolen from her. No longer hiding behind others' views, others' demands or preferences. She will be the one who she wants to be because that is the her that will shout, "I exist," to the world. Atoli comes to find confidence in herself, to find validation through people that wouldn't care about superficial things, but do care about her. She needed to be challenged, to be inspired to become better by experiencing new things, in order to spread her wings and fly like the bird of her namesake. She grows and changes and becomes truly her own person. Still conscious of others around her, yes, but she's not going to hide and shy away from the harsh realities of the world anymore. She'll move forward for herself, and accept everything that will come as a result. The nicest, kindest, most generous people you can meet have demons that run deeper than you could possibly know, and Atoli is representative of them. That compassion can be your strength. She's a person with issues that can be made better with friends and a place they take comfort in. And now that she's free of Sakaki, she can truly endeavor to find that place. That real, physical place, while walking hand in hand with others in this geek's utopia. This franchise began with the girl escaping into a game to avoid the cruel harshness of reality, and came out the better for it. Atoli is showing that, again, sometimes a life can be saved with a gentle hand. And that's all I have. I love this character. I love this game. I love this series. Sakaki flees as Innes falls, like you do when you're the bad guy. Somehow, despite being directly PK'd by an AIDA-infected player, Zelkova is completely fine, as is surprisingly everyone else that was stuck in the Moontree AIDA server. Not a single casualty caused from everything.
Just this once! Everybody lives!
And of course, he chooses now to reveal Yada's masquerade, him knowing all along. I would really like to know how he knew that. However, they still need to track Sakaki down and ban his ass from the system. Which, you think they could do remotely, but no. We have to have a final confrontation with the bad guy. However, Azure Kite has finished regenerating, so the Knights are on the move. Yada calls everyone in later, having pinpointed the bastard's location, Atoli adamant about being part of the party that confronts him. At this point, it's putting her on the path of confronting her abusers, starting with the one that she now realizes has kept her perpetually in this cycle. Though I stop over to let her get her lost weapon, Dancing Haze, before we do so. We have to go through a new dungeon type you see late in the game to get to the lost ground Sakaki sequestered himself in, using a sign to get there. Though, as they exit, the knights are about to follow, only for a certain man to step in. Sakaki's acting like the child he is, complaining and throwing a tantrum at the utter ruination of his plans, trying to lambast and tear down Atoli once again.
Sakaki, please listen to this. Sakaki, please tell me that. Sakaki, Sakaki, hey, Sakaki! I responded to every little thing. I gave you everything! And this is how you repay me, you bitch!
And Atoli's healing begins when she confronts the one that betrayed her, took advantage of her insecurities and trust against her, used her, and tossed her away like a rag doll. She reaffirms herself by refusing him and his plans. But Sakaki plainly can't understand that, wanting to turn himself into a god with control over every detail of what people think and feel.
No one would be happy in a world like that. I want to be in a world where you hurt and worry and fall, and where nothing's easy. But you try real hard and work at it, and then you can look back and laugh about it with all your heart. That's the kind of world where I want to be. It's the only kind of world that's worth living in.
And so, Sakaki finally goes off the deep end, taking an AIDA seed and infecting himself, likely what he used to infest other players like Bordeaux. And yet, the team completely crushes him.
But why?
Because you stepped on Atoli's heart.
However, it's not over yet.
Congratulations, Haseo.
Ovan comes, bearing a gift, Azure Kite's arm, and another piece of the puzzle.
Haseo, let me show you how those scars are made.
Burn this into your eyes! This is the truth that you have been searching for!
Ovan!
Another sign is carved into the ground. Pi and Atoli, victims in its creation.
There's no more time.
Ovan is Tri-Edge. Yeah. This was the big spoiler that had Roots' ending episodes never air on American television due to Reminisce's release delays.
How many sacrifices will it take to satisfy the grim reaper that resides within you.
And he invites Haseo back to where it all began, to Meg and Fee for their confrontation. Atoli and Pi are amazingly okay, their epitaph user status saving them, but we don't learn that for a bit. First, Matsu meets with Haseo to update us that Moontree's on the outs with its members, the fellow adept offering his member address. Meg and Fee is inaccessible at this point. We don't have the needed data seeds to open the gate. A combination of AIDA hunting and Pi extracting some from the Ovan item, securing them for us. However, this is a good time to discuss the post-game, so after the fight, I can just wrap things up. The final Abyss quest for this volume has the Vital Vistas succeeding in using the nucleus of light and dark to birth the creature from the ancient egg. Fortunately for us, they were only able to secure 2 of the nuclei, not the other 4 elements. Now, from that clue, can you tell me what monster from the world's long history has been resurrected from this event? The invincible weapon of R1. The beast whose felling earned its 2 battlers the title Descendants of Fianna, the slaying earning Balmug his signature wings. What they now face is the original, the one sin of the world. However, it's currently handicapped, only flashing between dark and light alignments. Lei Zaz is a staple of my Haseo, and as I have all my characters learn the basic spells, switching to Demon Awakening makes the first round easy. Yeah, first round. You have to fight it again. This time at full power. And holy crap, is this a hard one. Sir Nunos was difficult in simply depleting his hit points, but the true one sin can simply negate damage, on top of an HP score of 8,000. Endurance is the key to winning this one, as man does it not pull its punches. I ended up using 3 Divine Awakenings in this fight. I always forget to switch to Demon when I do this, taking a full 15 minutes to die. And that is with a max level character with the best armor and equipment available in the game. Battle even at 100 against any other boss doesn't take more than a minute. From it, you get the Rainbow Scale armor, and proof that you're just as good, if not better, as Balmug and Orca. Yay. Oh, and you can also hunt down Salvador Aihara as he plays the world while in the hospital, recovering from Sakaki's attack. Just look for the character Kazabolo. Each time you talk to him, you need to find him in another location. So, yeah. Confrontation time with Ovan.
Come to think of it, everything may have begun spinning out of control from this place.
This is all Yada's fault, by the way, thanks to the storyline of Roots. It was not intended to be! Back in Roots, after Yada captured Ovan at Meg and Fee, he hacked into and broke the containment program Ovan had installed on his player character to contain his AIDA infection. While it's active, it's concealed, but when it starts to break out, he can easily get away, leaving no victims, only the signs. But when Yada broke the seal, his power went wild, trying to escape, and he ended up at Hulgrans. The whys of everything I'll get into in Redemption, as I really can't explain it without using a lot of footage from the final part. But trust me when I say, he has a very good reason for everything he has done. As it is, he's restricted the time he exists in the game to limit the capability for his triad side to run rampant, his mysteriousness a necessity, when, really, all he wants is this to end, accepting responsibility for Shino, as well as Sakaki's experimentation and spread of AIDA. Many AIDA BCs directly the bastard's fault. Why?
For you, Haseo. To make you grow up strong.
Because this is the only way to end all of this. To make up for this mess.
Now, Haseo. Become strong. Surpass your limits. And then Kill me!
For the truth is...
Come the Reaper! Corbinic!
even the cursed wave can be corrupted. Corbinic can shoot spears in wide arcs and summon blank AIDA from bombardments. Its clinch needle spams even more of the spears. Devil's Verdict is a charging grapple that needs to be avoided, and Devil's Visitor is using all its limbs for frenzied slashes. Its data drain stance is a mirror to Skate's, the AIDA limb steadying the shot. Though you drain Corbinic, the infection runs so deep, Haseu's not even truly scratched its surface, and as such, only a portion of the phase data is devoured.
It was too soon, after all.
Ovan disappears, leaving Haseo with the day's revelations. And Yada appears and takes advantage of that, proclaiming that the real efforts against AIDA can now begin. Really, Yada? You couldn't have given him, 2 minutes? Called him back later when he had time to process it all? No, he's too self-absorbed in his obsession. All the time in the world to learn the secrets of the world, to see how damaged, how broken this reveal has left Haseo.
My fight is over. What's really changed since I began? In the end, I wasn't able to save anyone. I'm tired. I'm done.
However, as the credits roll, in a Kolo, something attacks Taihaku, while Haseo is called back into the game by Atoli, who awaits at Hulgran's. Finally, truly understanding the weight of everything he's been carrying, and he in turn seeing the demons she's tried to hide. However, before they can talk,
Become stronger, Haseo. Strong enough to destroy me.
And that was .hack G Reminisce, my favorite part of the trilogy, and my god, is it an emotional roller coaster. From start to finish, you're hit with moments of joy, sadness, success, failure, frustration, contentment, and so many other emotions as all of its events unfold. Sadly, a fair chunk of the game is devoted to the trio of Alkaid, Haseo, and Atoli. And, if you love these characters like I do, that doesn't seem so bad. But if you're expecting deep looks into the others, you're sadly losing out. But most are at least touched on and get their own pivotal moments, concluding Entrance's arc, making Pai more sympathetic, and Kun finally coming into his own, though sadly off-screen as part of the rewrite. Sakubo's stuff really doesn't happen until the next entry either, and Yada's growing maliciousness within his cause, well, that's for next time. Haseo's development was also slighted, but once he had his epiphany, he could move on freely without it needing to be addressed more directly, just factoring into his interactions with others to show the contrast. Likewise, Syllabus and Gaspard are shunted to the side as the need for their involvement drops. The biggest focus came to Atoli, and looking back and seeing all of the synergistic elements of her character, bringing us to the big epiphany about her. And Bridget Hoffman's portrayal delivers in spades. This is also another case of perfect casting for this game, as there is another character she has played that has had her cycle of despair abused as a source of power.
You're wrong, I'm not nice at all. Sadness isn't necessary, you know. It can just be deleted.
Once it has been seen, it cannot be unseen. Have I mentioned lately how much I fucking love Digimon Tamers? Reminisce also added a lot to the gameplay and side quest stuff. Some could argue a bit too much. I mean, the Steam Bike is easy to deal with, as are the Elder's Keys, but only because of imposed cheats on top of the other side quests and collections. Crimson Versus adds nothing in the grand scheme of things, and the one thing you wanted to play with more since it takes the main focus of the second act, the arena, you don't get to have fun with at all unless it's a story event. You do get to face a great number of boss monsters now to balance it out, and the increased variety in AIDA is greatly appreciated to break up the monotony once you get to them. It also revealed most of the deceptions left in the story, leaving a third part to resolve matters and uncover the why to how this all came about. However, the villain of the piece is not yet done with his machinations. A way to stop AIDA must be found, and a lingering danger has been forgotten, which we'll all cover when we get to Redemption, here on Dot Hat Retrospective. See you.
Once, there used to be a goddess statue here. A goddess that exists in the world.
Well, I have succeeded. Shall you and I play a game? Administrator! In the end.
Welcome to the next one. I won't be joining you this time. There's no more time.
Not to the chaotic decay. What is it you want?
The last resort.
What happened is your fault.
I guess this was the only resort.
What a moron! Is this it? Is this what you wanted the whole time?
I know.
Still waiting for me.
I won't go back. The Avatar. When and how I beam the terror of death isn't decided on the whim of some guy. The worst thing I found.
Did not run away.
What was the point of all this? Everything I've done. Everything I've been through.
We, the players, make this world what it is. Joy.
After all, Haseo's the leader.
Sadness. I guess.
You resemble me.
Love.
You don't need me anymore.
Hate.
I'll destroy that Haseo bastard!
Despair.
Can you see the path?
So all the feelings I've carved deep into the world are going into this one attack.
Are me.
Haseo, I saw it all. Everything.
Hello everyone. This video was very difficult on me emotionally to work on, and I feel that I did not appropriately convey my thoughts and feelings on the serious issues this game does its best to address. So, this is after I've finished most of the video, and I'd just like to say, if you suffer from depression, if you have a great number of suicidal feelings, I urge you, I ask you to find someone in your life you think can understand and can help you through this. And if you feel that this is just too personal a thing to dump on them, if you feel that they would not understand, I ask that you contact Suicide Prevention Services at these links, because you are worth it. You have a life worth living, and you don't need to give in to the ugliness, the demons we all carry within ourselves. You are not alone. Thank you.